So far, everything looks okay. It looks like it's going to connect.
Hope so.
Yeah. Okay, we're on. And oops. Okay. All right, we're starting, Marcy.
Sorry.
Everybody ready? All righty. Good evening, everybody. This is Shypanther and Friends on this Thursday, November 12th, 2020. And we are so excited. We have a wonderful guest with us this evening. And in case you've never checked out the show, I'm your host, Gail. And I have a panel here of Marcy. She's going to introduce herself in a moment. And Clarence Thomas, who's also going to introduce himself. And our special guest is Tonika Johnson. So you don't want to miss this. Stick around for the next hour. And please share the page. Let everybody know that we're going to be here for the next hour. And the mission of Shypanther and Friends is to provide quality programming, and the goal is to uplift, educate, and empower. And I hope that's just what we've been doing. You can reach out to us at Shypanther and Friends Show #1 at gmail.com, Shypanther and Friends Show #1 at gmail.com. And our website is shypanthermediagroup.org. All righty. So, we have Tonika Johnson, special guest, and she is a visual artist, photographer from Chicago's Southside Inglewood neighborhood. Now, she has accomplished so much, so I'm going to jump around a little bit, and I think I'm going to start out with her most recent accomplishments, and that is last year, she was named one of Field Foundation leaders for a new Chicago, and she was appointed as a member of the Cultural Advisory Council of the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events by the Chicago City Council. And I think it was just yesterday or the day before, her exhibit is one of, or her folded map exhibit is one
excerpt from it.
Okay, excerpt is going to be at the Museum of Contemporary Art right here in downtown Chicago. So that is a big deal. And I saw a little bit of her Instagram post, and it was very emotional for her. So, I mean, she's done some great things. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that in 2010, Tonika helped co-found the Resident Association of Greater Inglewood, RAGE, and she is the lead co-founder of Inglewood Arts Collective, established in 2017. And there's more, but I'm gonna give you this one. Also in 2017, she was featured in Chicago Magazine as Chicagoan of the Year. So, plus one more. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday, Tonika.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So happy to be here with you all.
Oh, you are so. You sure you want to come on the show on your birthday? I mean, on my show.
I know. I was like,
so I told you. So I told you.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. That's what I have too. Water.
I'm gonna change that later, though.
I know you are. I know.
Hey, I was gonna ask, could I have my glass of wine tonight?
You can have a glass of wine every night when we have this show. So we're gonna move right into before we move into the interview. I did this last time too. I have to allow my panel to introduce themselves. Marcy. I think she's still on mute. Marcy.
Hi, Tonika.
Hi.
I'm Marcy, and they call me MJ. I am the owner and the creator of Taylor Bees, which is a beard oil, and I just added beard care and beard grooming for men on the site. So I'm kind of proud of that and anxious to
Congratulations.
really become this entrepreneur that I'm trying to be. That I am. I'm gonna stop saying trying to be, but that I am, because I've been doing. I always have a side hustle, but this right here this is going to be my baby. So, but good evening.
Good evening.
And it's nice to meet you. Such an accomplishment for how old are you? 38 today?
41. 41 today.
41?
Yeah.
Girl, you look over 20.
No, my daughter will be that in 2 years.
Oh, wow. I was going to say the same thing. I thought you were like 25.
No.
Hey,
Yeah, when I got on the site, I thought you were 20 something. Then I saw something that I think it said 37 years old. And then when I see you tonight, I was like, oh, she looked like my youngest daughter. My youngest daughter's 8. The oldest is 38.
No,
So
thank you.
they both.
You don't look like you have no youngest daughter that's 38. Let's just say that.
Girl, I'll be 60 soon.
What? Oh my gosh. You make me
Thank you.
not
Thank
even
you.
worried.
That's the last time I'm gonna tell my age too.
You should walk around being proud of that, because I would never guess that.
Thank you so much. Gil too.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I just
Stop.
turned. Yeah.
What is y'all doing?
Yes, we can.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
so to be so lucky. Oh my gosh.
All right, so we don't want to leave Clarence out. So come on in here, Clarence.
Hey, I was getting ready to log off. I figured y'all won't talk to me. I said I'm on the wrong program. I'll see you next week.
That's hilarious. It's the skin for all of y'all. It's the skin, all of y'all. It's just the amazing skin.
Oh, you're so kind. Oh. Well, anyway, let me introduce myself. I'm Clarence. I'm I'm a retired sergeant of police. Also, I retired from the Office of Emergency Management, where I was in charge of all police and fire dispatch operations for the city, which is where I met these two young ladies when I was there. And since everybody's telling their age, I'm 75. So,
and you look amazing.
Oh my God, you look amazing. Y'all just keep, what? I'm just trying to be as cool and looking good as y'all. Oh my gosh.
Well,
you're 75.
I just chalk mine up to being blessed. It runs in the family. We don't look our age, and right now I don't really feel it. I'll probably feel it later. But right now,
God. I just want to ask y'all a whole bunch of questions now.
Right now I'm good. But I basically have retired. Now I just kind of do little private security work sometimes whenever I feel like it. But it's nice to be in a position where you can tell people no real quick.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So that's where I'm at.
Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yes.
Okay, Tonika. Now, we know a little bit about you. We know that you do outstanding work, and I've seen you on many, like in the Reader and Channel 11 and Channel 9. I've seen you just all over the place. And my big question is, how long have you been doing this, and where did you get the concept for a folded map?
Yes. So honestly, I've actively been doing folded map, meaning like taking the photos for this project, soliciting people to be a part of the project since late 2016. And it was exhibited in 2018 for the first time at Loyola University Museum of Art. And during that 3.5 month exhibition period is when it was kind of introduced to the larger public. So fairly recently, and that the inspiration to do that project was on the heels of a lot of community work that I was doing, and it involved, the community raising, Greater Englewood raising $12,000 to purchase the use of 5 billboards in Greater Englewood over 9 months. So the bittersweet beauty of, buying a billboard in Greater Englewood is because it's not that expensive. So
Yeah.
we were able to get those billboards, and a lot of the my fellow community residents wanted to show images of the Black community that we know, that exists in our neighborhood, and the lives, the rituals of how we live. And they were like, you have all of these pictures, all this time that you've been, documenting the community work that we've been doing, and you're artists. And so they used the bulk of my photographic archive to feature on those billboards. So every month we changed those billboards with different images. And since I photograph people who are in the neighborhood, they were on billboards too. So it was not only me as a photographer, but it was just, regular residents featured on a billboard in an artistic way. So the exhibition was like on the street, and that got some media attention, and it interrupted the very media space that we thought us as a community gets bullied in. And so once I saw the impact of that project, because that was in 2016, also, I was like, let me start working on a project I've always been thinking about, but I didn't really have an idea of how to share it until, a few years ago. But the idea has been with me since high school, because I lived in Greater Englewood, and I was commuting 15 miles north to go to Lane Tech High School in the 90s. And so, as a 13-year-old Black girl going out of her neighborhood every day, seeing that kind of change on my commute, I was just like, wait, what? Like, how is this possible? Like, there is a literal change that I see every day. But then also when I got to school, Lane Tech has a student body of 4,000 students, and they were from all over Chicago. And in the 90s, it was more diverse than it is now. It was literally equal percentage of each race in this 4,000 student body. So it was like 700 Black kids in the 90s, and that's a whole school in itself. So it really didn't feel like one race had a dominant culture over the school. It was just a mixture. And that really introduced me to a lot of Chicago through like hip hop parties we would go to. And that's when I realized, oh, you can't pay attention to the news or rumors that you hear about a neighborhood or even a group of people, because you have to know somebody. I was associating with so many different kids from all over Chicago, from different races, nationalities. That was cool, like literally cool. They may not have known or have had a different lived experience than me. And some of them didn't. Some of them, had the same lived experience. The group of my friends that I call, the West Siders, like, I didn't know they existed until I started high school. I was like, what? Where is that? And so just those 4 years, in addition to noticing the streets were named the same but looked different, but also realizing that you can experience a neighborhood and get to know people and what's important to them as a group if you just have a relationship, if you just have a shared interest or passion and hang out with them. And so that concept, along with me getting older, doing community work, eventually just all came together after the 2016 presidential election year. So ironically, hearing the way that Trump talked about Chicago, and it was getting international attention, I was like, no, they don't have this right. You know, if they're going to talk about gun violence, they're going to have to talk about all of the systemic issues that led neighborhoods to deal and struggle with this. And so that's when I was like, you know, I'm just going to start Folded Map, because they're not going to be able to deny it once I show it in this way. Like, you don't need a report. You don't need to ride the red line train. I'm going to show them visually with the map, and dare anybody to deny it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that's how it all started.
Well, I did come to one of your exhibits, and well, the one at Inglewood Branded.
Oh, yes.
I did go there. And can you tell a little about Inglewood Branded and why you chose to make that the home at first?
Yeah. So after Loyola University Museum of Art, you know, I always wanted to, I didn't have another exhibition space lined up. And, you know, I created a website for the project, so it existed virtually and a lot of people were able to access it that way. But I really wanted to have the exhibition experience in my home neighborhood. And that was really at the urging of my dear friend, Paola Aguirre. She's the one that did the beautiful map installation for Folded Map at the Loyola exhibition. And she was like, you know, it's grant money out there that you should apply for to bring Folded Map to Inglewood. You know, you've always wanted to do it and you should go for it. So she helped me apply and we got it. And I was able to bring a scaled down version to Inglewood. But the reason that I end up choosing Inglewood Branded is for two primary reasons. One, there isn't any exhibition space in Greater Inglewood. You know, the Park District, I was thinking about that, but the way that the field houses are constructed, it doesn't really offer like for an exhibition field. The walls are too far apart, and the gym and another room isn't big enough. And then how am I going to hang it? You know, all of those things. And, you know, I really wanted to also make people aware of another, you know, business in Inglewood, a business that started by a Black man that grew up in Inglewood and has his business on a corner that people are so scared of. And I'm like, no, let's have it here. Let's drive some traffic and some business here. And how appropriate, like the project itself centers Inglewood and the store is named Inglewood Branded. So that's what made me want to partner with Corey to have it there. And then I was like, it's the perfect takeaway. Like people can come there and take a memento by purchasing one of his hoodies, his shirts, you know, and I don't have to like facilitate that. And it just made sense. And, you know, since he's my friend, we always wanted to partner to do something together. So it just made sense. And I really also wanted to bring attention to the fact that because neighborhoods like Greater Inglewood have been disinvested in, these are the kind of creative things we have to come up with just to do something as simple as an art exhibition. Like we have to repurpose a whole apparel store just to make it an art exhibit. So, you know, I wanted to show people, see how resilient and resourceful we are, as well as disinvested in.
Right. And it was well attended and you got plenty of media attention.
Yeah.
So people came from everywhere.
I was so shocked. And a lot of them, it was their first time in Inglewood in general. And I was like, well, this is the best first time you could ever have, because, you know, you're around a room full of people, and then you're inside of a store that has cool, like, hoodies and apparel. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. So
let me ask you a question. Did you consider maybe taking your idea or your project to the college?
Yes, Kennedy King idea, but it was a lot of bureaucracy in
Okay.
how soon I needed to have it like exhibited. And then also again with the space, you know, I'm an artist, and so I didn't necessarily want all the pieces scattered far apart from each other, which is kind of what it would have had to have been if it were at Kennedy King. Like it would have had to been in a hallway as opposed to, you know, and I
Okay.
really just kind of wanted it to be a smaller space so people could see it all together.
Oh, okay.
But I did consider them.
Okay, Marcy, you have any questions? I know you do, because I got like a whole bunch.
Well, not so much questions, but I just let Tonika know I grew up in Inglewood. I lived there. We moved there. The projects. I think I was 11 or 12 at the time, and I didn't move out in 1990. So I wouldn't change anything that I experienced. It was like gang violence, but it was also a lot of we got bullied, but it was also a very loving community. You know, I didn't look at it, and you know, the news media, they indeed did label us. You know what I'm saying? And growing up there, I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. When we went out, we 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 were introduced to a whole lot of things outside of the neighborhood. We did have people that lived on the block that never really stepped outside, but that was our family. And even my sister they still have their, because we went to Gage Park, they still have their picnics over there. I'm not sure if you still live in Inglewood, but
I do. My mom went to Gage.
huh?
I said I do, and my mom.
Yeah, yeah, my sister, my brother, we went to Gage Park.
What year did you
And you know, we went
graduate?
I graduated in my junior year because I went to Jones Commercial.
Oh.
After that, I saw and Gage Park was just changing over when I went, because it used to be adults standing on the other side of the street yelling obscenities at us as children because they didn't want us over there. They didn't want blacks in their school. So it was changing. It was very team, and that was a very scary and stressful time for us. But I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, because growing up in Inglewood taught me a great deal of how to deal with pressure and those things like that, and just how to deal with just the stigma of even living in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So I'm, you know, not at all living over there. And Inglewood has come a long way, a really, really long way. And I commend you guys, because I still have family that still live in the same building, 55th and Walcott. I went to Henderson School Street, so I know it well. And
It was a location for people who wanted to try to enter the middle class. They had, you know, homes available. Yeah, so I understand.
And when we were there, when we moved in there, we had a lot of, we had white to Cuban and then black. It was a lot of Puerto Ricans and Cubans that lived over there. You know, it was, people think it wasn't multicultural, but it was. You know, we moved over there, and that had to be in the because I'm in Auburn Gresham now, and we moved here like in about 1990. But yeah, we lived like 20 years in Inglewood. So yeah. So I know it well, but I commend you guys. I'm just loving to hear that this took place there. And people always, even now, they try to make it such a stigma on with the media, but it's not. And you got all kinds of people that's living in Inglewood right now, all multicultural, different cultures of people that live in Inglewood right now,
Yeah.
you know?
And then Greater Inglewood, like Inglewood and West Inglewood, like together, it's the third largest neighborhood in Chicago. And a lot of people don't
Absolutely. Yeah.
know that. They don't know that how huge it is. Like it's its own town. Like it's from 55th to 72nd, from the Dan Ryan
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
way to Western.
Yeah.
That's
It's huge. It's
so,
definitely huge. And there are a lot of businesses there. There's a Black woman that I'm not sure if she opened it yet. I think it is open. You have coffee shops now. You have a brewery. She's opened the first brewery in England.
oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. Uh-oh,
Oh, I
Marcel,
can't hear.
you, Marcel,
I'm just glad to just see it going. I'm loving this. I'm really loving this. So I want to commend you on everything that you've done. It's heartfelt. It really is. It's heartfelt.
Thank you so
So
much, Marcy.
Well, Marcy, you mentioned Gage Park, and the memories that I have of Gage Park was I was on the police department at that time, and Gage Park was one of the high schools that we got assigned to periodically to deal with the very issues that you brought up, because we saw the change coming not only to Gage Park, but some of the other high schools like Bogan High School on 79th and Pulaski. I saw a lot of those schools go through their change. Tilden High School. I remember going there and watching those parents conduct themselves in a very hostile, uh, create a very hostile environment for
for children, we were
yeah,
children. You're absolutely right.
children. And I remember even Marquette Park. Uh,
Yes.
I went through that, and ironically, uh, Tonika, I was initially on the north side of Chicago, uh, and I remember going around the high school up. That is a huge high school
It
for a
is. It's like
high
a little
school.
college campus.
Yeah, it's. I mean, people as a high school student, you go to a school like that, and I'm pretty sure you could get overwhelmed
Oh, yes.
with the size of it. Uh, but I remember that. I remember that school and the demographics. Uh, if we go back to Inglewood, I look at Inglewood now because I do a lot of work with ComEd, uh,
Mm.
and they're constantly ComEd and People's Gas. They're constantly in a lot of these areas, but they're doing a lot of work in Inglewood, and I see that there is a lot of residential construction going on in various pockets of Inglewood. That they're building uh, moderate income homes right around 59th, uh, right off of Halsted, uh, coming back toward the college. You've got some new construction in that area, and it's interesting. I see a lot of Hispanics are starting to move into Inglewood also,
Hmm.
because ComEd is doing a lot of connecting.
Yeah, no, they are. Unfortunately, a lot of the Latinos that are moving in are coming from neighborhoods where they're getting pushed out
Right.
Pilsen, Humboldt Park. The ones that are getting pushed out of Humboldt Park are starting to move into the Austin neighborhood on the west side. And the ones who are getting pushed out of Pilsen, moving over here, you know, which makes sense. I mean, they're right next door to a predominantly Latino neighborhood back of the yard. So,
Right.
and we have property. So I get it.
They're here in urban Gresham too. They're almost the largest group of people in the city now. They're here in urban Gresham. So, yeah.
Well, see, that pushing out is economics. They're changing they're forcing the changing of the demographics of the areas that you mentioned, and they're doing it economically. People can't afford to live there, so they're being pushed out. So they're coming where they can live, where they can afford.
Well, they're doing the same thing to them that they've done to us. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
And even some of us who have the income, we still get priced out up north. And to me, it's too congested for me. Anyway, but those of us who have the income, we get pushed out. But I think if we stay where we are, we can change dynamics of our neighborhood. And I understand a lot of us don't want to do the mixed income, and I was one at that time too. But I look at what's going on in Auburn Gresham, and we left it because of some of the same things and bad, and we wanted to be in more of a stable Black area. And the thing is, Chatham was basically the most stable Black area is, and the most mixed race area was Hyde Park. But we could stay
Chicago,
exactly, and we wanted to be in a more of a middle class type of Black area. You know, my mom and them did, and by us coming from 40th Street and Cottage to State Street on 40th and State to Inglewood on 55th to now Auburn Gresham on 83rd. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at a point now, when do you stop trying to change and run? Because the dynamics of everything that I just mentioned is everywhere for us. Do you want to stay and change things and keep them to the point where we can have really good neighborhoods if we stay as middle class or upper middle class, and then make people, not make them, but just change the ideal of how a neighborhood should be when you have those that are not used to owning anything? Because I've had that experience over here where I am for like 17 years. And at the end, they had to comply. They had to kind of like come into the fold of what everybody else was doing around, because then they started to feel shameful about their actions and the things that they were doing. And when they left, they realized they messed up because this was such a stable area. And now it's a hot commodity over here in Auburn Gresham. And we have to fight to make sure that we're not pushed out like the Hispanics are being pushed out. So now things are becoming multicultural. But I look at it like this, and I used to say the same thing with white people. We can't buy if you don't sell.
Yeah.
You know, you can't buy.
Let me jump in right here, Marcella. I wanted to bring back to Tonika about, that's exactly what she was saying, that because you lived in Hyde Park and you moved back to Inglewood. So, and there's in one of the articles that you have, that you were interviewed, you said that you asked people a lot of times why they moved to the neighborhood that they moved to, and did they speak to somebody about it before they actually did it? So if you can speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for the same reasons all of us like choose the neighborhoods that we want. One, we have to be able to afford it. And then it comes to, okay, like, does it have the amenities I want? Does it have school? Does it have, you know, then you start to pay attention to those things. And that is the clear difference. And that difference isn't because of you know, Black people not wanting to be homeowners, or Black people not knowing how to become a homeowner. It's the difference is solely because of systemic racism. Like it's just plain what it is. So many of those Black families who came to neighborhoods like Greater Inglewood or Lawndale on the west side, they came in the 40s and 50s trying to get homes, like, and they thought they were getting them, but they were actually lied to. They didn't own their homes. Like
Right.
this was a thing that solely happened, was concentrated in certain neighborhoods in Chicago. Greater Inglewood is one of them. Lawndale is another. And there were so many Black families who wanted or actually thought they were homeowners, and they lost their homes, and they because of things like land sale contracts, how those were discriminatorily used, people finding out that they didn't even own their homes, Black people getting overpriced for the homes that were, you know, sold for less than what they were sold to them, to white people. Like this is stuff that actually happened that led to the disparity. But ultimately, you know, people choose a neighborhood because they want community, and they want the best quality of life. And it's very difficult to have that in a city like Chicago because all of the neighborhoods are not invested in. The damage that has been done to Black neighborhoods has never been restored. It was just like, okay, redlining's illegal, land sale contracts illegal, but the damage has already been done. Nothing was ever created to fix it, you know? And as a result, a lot of Black people end up losing homes. And that's really what happened. That's how a lot of the neighborhoods with low home ownership, that's how it started. You know, it wasn't because crime first. Crime taking over certain pockets of neighborhoods is what led to the mass Black exodus of Black people from Chicago in general. You know, you remember that decade where everybody was going to Atlanta or Texas? It was, you know, that was more recent history. But before that, it was literally because how wrong our government did or allowed people to do Black homeowners. And that has never been repaired. But through Folded Map and that project, people were able to learn about how disinvested certain neighborhoods are compared to others, but yet also learn that they want the same thing. You know, it's not like, oh, Black people want something different. Like, no, we want what we're entitled to as Chicago residents, as people who pay taxes. And a lot of the white participants in Folded Map, they had just only heard about it. They hadn't met anyone who they had a long conversation with about how those inequities has really impacted them. You know, like not having a grocery store, if you like, or organic produce options if you eat organic food, not having quality schools in your neighborhood, not having restaurants that you like to frequent in your neighborhood, not having a movie theater, not having, like, so many things. A lot of them didn't realize, like, oh, it's people who are literally just like me that don't have access to stuff that we have access to. You know, so they've been fed this image of what Black neighborhoods are, especially in Greater Inglewood, and then think about the reality that no, it's people like who have the same interests and commonalities as you, but don't have access to those things. And then also for some of the participants who went to the Northside Map Twins neighborhoods, you know, they was just like, oh my gosh, like I knew it was nice because I've been here for certain things, but this is just over-resourced. So people are able to understand what they're entitled to. Like, oh, if they're doing this on the north side, then we need to get some of this. So, you know, that was what a lot of their conversations were about.
And you know, a lot of people, they don't understand from the very beginning, not all of the development and the FHA loans and all of the things that were afforded to help people make a better life and to be able to have a home, they were never put in place for Black people, ever.
Yeah, never. And it's so crazy because people always want to blame, and this is where I get really irritated. People always want to blame Black people, like collectively, like we need to, we don't want to be homeowners. Like, no, we have been. We thought we were. We tried to take advantage of all ways to become homeowners, even today. But it's so many barriers in the home buying process. That's ridiculous. I mean, even if you have a Black developer or a Black person who wants to purchase in a predominantly Black neighborhood, you have the appraisal issue. That's horrible for everybody, you know? And it's just like, let's talk about that systemic part. Like, it's the devaluation of Black neighborhoods. So just logically speaking, if you're a person who wants to purchase a home to build equity, then quite naturally, you wouldn't purchase a home in a neighborhood that is devalued. So you have to have some other connection that will even make you want to do that. But that's just the problem. It's our city, our government, and just real estate in general, how they appraise property in neighborhoods is still based off a very racist viewpoint, you know? And me even going through the process of preparing to become a homeowner, after having been one and after divorce and being a renter again, like seeing how the process has changed, that's also a barrier, you know? And it's just unfortunate how they devalue all of our neighborhoods. Like a neighborhood like Chatham and South Shore, like those properties should be way more, Bronzeville even. Those are rich Black people, and they still don't have the amenities that they need, that their income demands. Like they just got a Mariano's. That's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, if there were young white professionals who lived in that neighborhood at the same income bracket as all of those Black people in Bronzeville, oh, everything would be there. So it's ultimately just racist. It's racist why they and how they devalue our neighborhoods that make it very difficult for us to use home ownership as a tool for financial and generational wealth. Because we have to move outside of our neighborhoods just to get a house that will increase in value.
Exactly.
Well, Tonika, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was just going to say just the same thing that you said, Tonika, that that ultimately took away a lot of our potential to gain wealth simply because we did not have a home that built equity. And that equity could be used for so many things, like college, like just old age, or just to have a home that's left to your children who, when they start out, they already are years ahead of us because we weren't even allowed to take that opportunity because of the racist practices that were put in place that did not allow us to get home loans, and nothing that they put in, none of their rules or none of their reasoning was based on any fact at all.
It's just like a whirlwind, just like, you know, you have to have like a really great in tune loan officer to guide you, because it's just so many barriers if you want to purchase property in certain neighborhoods and if you don't have a huge existing portfolio of stuff. But what you know, first home buyer does, you know. So it's really unfair, and it really does contribute to our neighborhoods being the way that they are, and it has little to do with the fault of the residents who left and the residents who stayed. It really
Yeah.
is systemic and economic, and it's unfair.
Yeah, it really is the same thing and what you were speaking about in regards to that. Um, the same thing that happened in 2008 happened in 1953 when you said that they realized they were not homeowners. And then they would take that, they would come in and take their homes, and then they would redo it again. They kept doing it until one man
Foreclosures,
he
yes.
took them to court, and one black man took them to court and was like, no, and he won. But that's everything that happened in 2008 with the home ownership when they were doing those junk loans.
Housing bubble,
Uh,
right, yeah.
exactly, and we lost out. And they tried to do it over here, and they thought we were not going to come together. It was called the HD 40 bill, because I even refinanced at that time. And what they tried to do is they tried to charge me. And I asked them, what is the title company? They tried to charge me a $200 fee for where I lived. And I challenged them on it. And I got it back. And the mortgage company that dealt with them sent me an apologetic letter because I caught them on it. They could not explain to me what was this extra fee. It was because of where I lived. It was
See?
actually because of where I live. They charged me, and I was like, no, you're not doing this, not today. So I challenged them on it. And what,
You challenge them.
you know, and this is what we have to be aware. History tends to repeat itself. And when you know it, you have to make sure that you're safe because they continue to do it. And the Hispanics just don't understand. They're being done, it's being done that way too. Pilsen looks like a Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
It looks like a park. You know, and they like I said, history repeats itself, and as long as they can get away with it, they can. But like I
Yeah.
said, that same thing that happened in 2008 happened in, I think it was 1953 or 1958,
Yeah.
and black people did not own their properties, and they were pushed out. They were pushed out, and it kept repeating itself over and over
Exactly.
again until they were challenged. And we have to just understand that when we have something, we have to make it grow. And I understand that most of us who have middle income or upper middle income, we try to run. And I've learned that it's not so much as to run, but expound on what you already have. And if you stand strong together, you can build these neighborhoods up. You can push out the riffraff that don't want to comply or that don't want to. And once you stand together and you decide, no, we're going to change the dynamics of this neighborhood because I'm tired of people telling us what we don't want or that we don't appreciate or we don't know how to take care of. We do. We pay taxes and stuff just like everybody else. I challenge it all the time. We have to challenge it. You know, I look at Peel Hill. That was one of the areas that very
Yeah.
appealing.
Yeah.
Chatham, I've always loved Chatham, and they had a tight knit group, you know,
Yeah.
and there was some things that were problematic about Chatham, but I understood. That's when I really started understanding homeownership because I bought my first home when I was 25, and that's where I'm at now.
Oh wow.
And I had to familiarize myself because I wanted to do real estate, but I had to familiarize myself with home ownership, what it takes to have home ownership. And I always have this ideology, just like yourself, that I can have the same things that they have. Why can't I have these same things? Why is it so different to go? You go downtown now, and it's almost like you're in a suburb somewhere. And I didn't want to go to the suburbs. I didn't want to go to the suburbs.
Yeah.
I'm
City girls.
stay here. That's right. You know, so I'm proud of you. I really am. I don't have any questions. I just have accolades. I'm really proud of you. I'm glad we did this show today because people need to know. Don't stray away. Don't, you know what? When my family moved out of Inglewood, I remember this older lady was telling us, "Why are you gonna move? No, don't move." And I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
You know, when I did later, like here, like we're having a challenge now. When you said that they do it to us all the time, this school, Calumet High School. Once they change the zoning, the houses ain't worth nothing.
Mhm.
Well, they have homeless people up north, been there for years. They value change? No. So we're challenging the city. No, you guys are going to be met with a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
And when black folks started standing their ground, oh, stuff will start changing in these neighborhoods. No, you're not going to teach you any different, you know. And sometimes it may take one champion like yourself to say, no, you're not going to do this. I
well, see,
just
what we're
I'm just
talking
one of
about,
the little, one of few, one of many.
Go ahead,
yeah,
Clarence.
but the whole conversation is centered around um, what we call institutional racism. We're talking about actually what it is. And when you get into those conversations with people who have not been subjected to it, then they have a hard time understanding exactly what you're talking about because they have never experienced it. But as we begin to educate ourselves and we begin to understand that the reason ABC is occurring is because of XYZ. And that's when we can begin to challenge the structure. That's when we've had previous program discussions dealing with holding our elected officials accountable for doing or not doing the things that they should be doing. When we look starting with aldermen and going on up the line, if we don't start holding the people who have the uh, who hold the seats of power, where they either allow these decisions to be made, such as zoning, because once they change the zone, that changes the dynamic of the
absolutely, absolutely.
where the zone is, where that change is being made, and
Yeah,
it affects that area economically. And if you have an elected official that is either pushing a zoning change or is allowing a zoning change to take place, then if you're not aware of it, the next thing you know, you are priced right out of your home or out of your neighborhood because of a zoning change. And Marcy had that experience over where she lived, and it was because of a zoning change, but because the community got on top of it, they were able to kind of address it a little bit. But that's what happens to us all the time. I used to live at 60th and Drexel. I go over there
wow.
now.
Oh,
The University of Chicago has systematically taken over. They go all the way up to about 67th Street. You can see the imprint of that university all over the place because they systematically took control of Woodlawn. They just took control of it. And where I used to live no longer exists. It's gone. But the reason, another thing you can look at is where you have large squashes of vacant property. It's been vacant for years. The vacant lots in Woodlawn didn't just occur. They have been like that. You can look at Inglewood. There are certain areas in Inglewood that have been vacant for years because somebody is waiting until the right time when they can come in and they can gobble up that property and they can start rezoning it to a point where those people who are living around it will find out that they can no longer live there because their taxes are going to start to rise significantly. And as that happens, then they can no longer afford their homes, and then they have to move out. And one of the
Yeah.
ways you can see stuff happening is to look at what's being built in the area.
No, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, it is. Because you guys got the Whole Foods.
And
You guys got the
that was
Whole Foods,
symbolic.
right?
That was a symbolic gesture that
Yeah.
it has not changed anything. I mean, it's made it a little bit convenient because I don't stay far, but you know, it was just symbolic. You know, it was good that it happened, but nothing has followed. So, you know, hats off to Whole Foods, the Chipotle, the Starbucks, and that decided to have those franchises in Greater Inglewood when nobody else would, but nothing else followed.
Right.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be
Despite the fact that that Starbucks is so popular and is always crowded, it's just, I know it's making money. So it's not because it's not doing well financially.
and you know
Well, you
what?
know,
You know, the most, let me say this, the most popular Starbucks is 71st and Stoney.
Wait a minute. I just want to say I wouldn't be surprised if they're just keep your eyes open, because in a lot of neighborhoods where they do reinvest and they put all these popular stores, the next thing you know, you have a whole bunch of white folks who bought the property and they moved in. And that is exactly, that may be what's going to happen. But I do know that across the city, that there were large lots of apartment buildings that were already purchased, that was kind of kept hush hush, and they went and bought all of this property that wasn't truly announced to other people of color, or maybe people who live there, could have maybe collectively come together and purchase that property. But it's already sold now, and it's not sold to Black people that I know of. I could be wrong.
No, you're right, Gail. You're right. You're absolutely right. It happened, and they kept that hush hush, and that's basically over there because of where they're going to put the library. And we have a coworker who's right off of 71st and Stony, and she was like, "I'm not going in." Absolutely right, Gail. It's not us. It's not us. They're buying it up. But what I wanted to say to 71st and Stony with that Starbucks, that's the most lucrative Starbucks in the city. Yes.
well, see,
It is in the city. It's small, but it's most lucrative in the city.
Many
well, see,
around there. So yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, but we have to understand something. People don't locate businesses in the Black community because they're looking to fail. Black people spend money.
Yeah.
We unfortunately, we are more consumers than we are investors or investing in something. Other people can come into our neighborhood, open up a store, and if they have what we would normally purchase, we will buy and we will
But
support.
that's changing.
Huh?
It's changing. It's changing. I just do a coffee store. We don't have a coffee. We don't have a coffee shop. There's a young Black male who lives not too far from here. He just opened up a coffee shop right there on 83rd and Halsted. See what just happened here in Auburn Gresham? They just got a $10 million MacArthur grant. So they're building over here, and the plans that they have for. But I'm going, if I give up my property, because now when you start seeing money come into our neighborhoods, that means they're regentrifying and they're hoping that we move out. But that's not happening in Auburn Gresham. You're not going to just come over here and take this. Like I said before, we have the third largest bungalows in the city. And with the bungalow program that they have, the Chicago Bungalow Association, there's grant money and there's money that can fix up these bungalows, and they're doing energy saving, where they're doing the what do you call those? They're putting on the homes with the plates. It escapes my memory right now. With the plates, they have those. They have a lot of things that they're doing now over here. But I'll be darned if I let my property go, and that's the way a lot of us feel. And then with this rezoning, because they're not going to keep Calumet High School there. It was my understanding too. Part of the Chicago Gresham committee that they have was to put new housing there tear the school down and put new housing there. That was part of that grant money that they just received. And also Pritzker, his wife, and him just put money in his. So that tells you right there that they're about to change the dynamics of this neighborhood. You know, we have people, elderly people over here who have their homes for 50 years. But yet you put a 540 bed house, a 540 bed homeless shelter at Calumet High School right down the street for men with various backgrounds. They want us to take flight. No, I'm going to fight. And we all agree that we're going to fight, because I know the $1 million that they just invested over here with this grant. I mean, they're doing wonderful things. And I would encourage people, come on here and get these homes. My neighbor just next door just bought his home. That was about $250,000. So I encourage Black people, come over here and buy these homes. Don't let every other culture come over here and buy it. I don't mind having a mixed race neighborhood, but the thing is, you're not pushing us out. So we're in a fight. And just like with Inglewood, Tonika, we're just, you're not going to just come over here and just take. We're going, because we build it up, and then you guys are going to enjoy the spoils of our labor. No, we're going to fight. I would encourage, like what you're doing and bringing light to it, I would encourage Black people to just hold tight and fight for what's yours. This is our legacy. You know, this is our legacy. And I think it's wrong to give it away. We don't need to give it away. We just don't.
Tamika, are you planning to go into any other neighborhoods and do the same thing that you're doing in Inglewood, as far as the photographic history?
Yeah, so I actually, a lot of people wanted to participate as map twins in the Folded Map project, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to facilitate pairing people together from a whole bunch of different neighborhoods. So what I've decided to do, that I just put on the website, was create a Folded Map action kit. So it's literally for people to guide themselves on a list of errands that I'm asking them to run in their map twin neighborhood, and then share back their experience on the Folded Map website. So since one is the pandemic, people, don't want to be around strangers and stuff like that. I just figured this would be the best way for people to experience each other's neighborhood as close as possible to being a resident. You have to run errands anyway, so just go see what it's like in another neighborhood and do it. Just pick one day and then share back your experience. And so hopefully we can get enough people to do this that we can establish some way to share it back to the public, maybe another page on Folded Map website, but just to show people that these differences exist, and this is how we build awareness. This is how we build empathy. This is how we build knowledge of what we should be fighting for. This is how we learn how to help other neighborhoods, how to help our own, is just going to see other neighborhoods. You don't have to get up and move and establish a whole nother friend if you don't want to, but literally just run your regular errands in another neighborhood. You learn so much that way. People who travel, what's the first thing they want to do? They want to go to where the locals are. They want to see the stores. They want to go, it's the same concept because you learn so much.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so guys, we're a little bit over the time, so we're gonna just kind of get to some of the last words that you want to share. Clarence, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to, I'd like to point out that based on a lot of what has been said, I look at where my church is located at 49th and King Drive, and I look at that neighborhood, and I see white people in that neighborhood now walking their little dogs around and doing all that. And I tell you, 20 years ago, that was not happening.
No,
So
no.
it's just interesting to see that dynamic taking place 2 blocks from 47th Street. And, they're there.
Yeah.
All right, Marcy.
Well, just a little side note. A lot of Asians are buying Bronzeville. A lot of Asians are buying Bronzeville. But what I wanted to ask me, I would be, I've been up north, but you know what? With that folding map, and you said take you said just go and see what it looks like, because I'm sure that there's a carpenter up north or North Carpenter Street. So, do we take pictures and then put them on the website?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
for doing it.
on the website, it's a kit that explains, what I'm inviting people to do, and you can look at it and write it down, or you can download it if you have, a printer with ink, because sometimes I'll be running out of ink. But it's just, go buy organic apple, or go buy whatever produce you normally buy. Do that in your Map Twin neighborhood. Go take out $20 from an ATM. Go buy lotion, because we all know that's a different experience in Black neighborhoods, because they lock everything up. And I know a lot of people from other neighborhoods don't know they do that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, they don't. Go to your local post office. Go to your local library.
Right.
So just so people can see what that experience is, because the difference in that experience has nothing to do with whatever stereotype people have of whoever lives there. It has to do with decisions beyond residents. It has to do with our elected officials and who they have, what developers and companies they've made easier deals with to be in certain neighborhoods. And so, as much as we talk about gentrification, really young white professionals moving into certain neighborhoods of color is a sign of an alert to us, only because
Yes.
it happens when they come. And it's
Yes.
not because they're coming, it's because, oh, the neighborhood will change, because now money and investment will follow them. And that is the problem. And so I want, the young white professionals who move into neighborhoods of color to realize that happens, because it is ultimately not their fault. Like, they're dollar signs to businesses and our elected officials. They can't help that everywhere they go, stuff pop up that they like, but they have to be aware of how that changes communities. And so if we come together and say, let's hold our elected officials accountable, like Clarence was saying, then that could be different. But that is what the goal of the action kit is, to run just a short list of errands and share back on the website. So if you want to take photos of something that was interesting to you, or maybe it's a produce that you want in your neighborhood and you see that they have it in abundance on the North Side neighborhood, we want people to take pictures and submit it online at the website.
Yeah, I can do that. I can basically do that with the bungalows, because You can take my bungalow and put it up north, and it'll be $500,000.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah.
Versus.
What's the website so we can share the information?
Yes, it's foldedmapproject.com, and you can download it. And we're also going to be, for people who are interested in receiving a hard copy of the action kit, which is a cute folder that we're getting printed, you know, they can sign up, but you can download it. It's 10 pages. You don't have to download all 10 pages. The workbook part of it is literally 2 to 3 pages. And it's just a list of errands we want you to do in your map twin neighborhood and share back. So you can tell us how you feel about that. You know, experiencing a different kind of convenience or inconvenience can really put things into perspective, you know, like, wow, I didn't know this was getting an organic apple was this hard for some people.
Right, yeah.
Tonika, the website is foldingmap.com.
Folded, FOLD. Oh, look, you made me forget my own website. Folded. FOLDED map, MAP project.com. I was like, what?
Got it.
Project.
Okay, so I just want to encourage everybody to go to the website, foldedmapproject.com, and follow Tonika's work. She's doing great work all over the city. She's been doing great work, and I just only mentioned a few of the things that she's done. Go to the Museum of Contemporary Art and see her exhibit and the others, and support. How can we support what you're doing, even with Rage or all of your projects that you're doing? What can we do?
So you can always share the work of Rage, donate to Rage, Resident Association of Greater Englewood, sign up to become a member. And being a member doesn't mean like, oh, you have to live in Englewood. Rage knows that so many people are from Englewood, still connected to Englewood, have relatives that live in Englewood or work in Englewood. You know, it's really sometimes it feels like everybody from Englewood. So you can join and become a member and get information about how to get involved or support. And then you can always donate. You know, it is a resident-led organization. My dear sister friend, Aisha Butler, she is, you know, operating it by herself with the help of volunteers. So, you know, they always need support and they do amazing, we do amazing work. And then also, you know, Folded Map is just literally waiting on our IRS letter that says we have received our nonprofit designation. So Folded Map is a nonprofit now. So if anybody wanted to, they could donate to Folded Map. All funds go to supporting all of these ideas for city engagement around these issues that I do. And yeah.
That's wonderful. You said it's called Rage?
Rage, yeah, Resident Association of Greater Englewood.
So rage.com. Okay.
Rage Englewood. If you type it in, it'll come up. It's rageenglewood.com, 1 E. So Rage, they share the same E, Englewood.
Okay, Clarence, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. The only question I got is if we go to foldedmapproject.com, can we also find Rage or that website, or is that?
Oh, it's not on Folded Map website, but if you just Google Resident Association Greater Englewood or just Rage,
okay,
R.A.G.E. it will pop up. Rage is always doing something.
Okay.
All right, so my final word is actually a quote from NPR's Code Switch, and it was a presentation from 2018 on, NPR, and it was called Segregation and Redlining in America, A Short History. And the quote is, housing segregation and discrimination fundamentally shape the lives of people in nearly every major American city. So just to leave you with that thought, is the absolute truth, and it is still true this day. Till
Yeah.
this day.
Thank you so much, Gail. It was so nice to meet you, Marcy and Clarence. And I look
Thank
forward
you. It
to
was a
staying in
pleasure.
touch.
We
You all enjoy the rest
are
of
so
your
happy
evening.
that you.
You do the
Thank
same.
you.
and
Oh,
be
and
safe.
you still live in Inglewood, right, Tonika?
Yeah, I'm here right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to keep in touch. This was so refreshing. This is nice. But
Thank
I'm going to do that. I'm going to
Action Kit.
do that errand.
Yeah, do the action kit. You know, it's a fun way to like contribute to change, you know, because a lot of people feel like they don't know how other outside of voting. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of things we can do to help like bridge this divide. And you know, I just wanted to be able to create a very easy way for people to get their own information about Chicago and neighborhoods without being impacted by the stereotypes, you know?
Right,
And,
right.
and if you're running errands, then you're doing something. Because if you don't have anything to do when you enter certain neighborhoods, you're only going to pay attention to what you've been told is wrong about a particular neighborhood. And that goes both ways, you know?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so I just wanted to be able to offer a list of activities that can help people see this issue of segregation and inequity in a completely different way.
Yeah, yeah. Because we basically only go there to spend money.
Yeah, right.
Okay, everybody. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Shypanther and Friends, and we're gonna get out of here.
All right, bye.
Yeah, you enjoy your birthday because we held you.
Yes, happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
Happy
I'm gonna have
birthday.
a
Happy
little
birthday.
cocktail.
Yes. Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Yeah. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.